Chuck Norris is dead. That sentence sounds wrong. For decades, Chuck Norris did not feel like the kind of man who could die. He felt permanent. He was one of those rare public figures who stopped feeling like just a person and started feeling like a force. A movie star who became a television icon, and a television icon who somehow became one of the biggest myths on the internet. But on March 19th, 2026, Chuck Norris was reported dead at the age of 86, and his family announced the news publicly the next day, saying he passed away peacefully, surrounded by loved ones. And that is exactly why this hits so many people hard. So, is he really dead? Why is the cause of his death still a secret? But first, let's talk about how it all began. Before the world knew him as Chuck Norris, the invincible action star, the martial arts icon, and the man the internet turned into a living myth, he was simply Carlos Ray Norris, born on March 10th, 1940, in Ryan, Oklahoma. He was born to Wilma Lee and Ray D. Norris, and he was named after Carlos Berry, his father's minister. His father was a World War II veteran who later worked a series of ordinary jobs, including mechanic, bus driver, and truck driver. Norris's early life was marked by poverty, instability, and shyness, and he later described himself as non-athletic, timid, and average in school. He was the oldest of three brothers, with Wieland and Aaron growing up alongside him. When his parents divorced, Norris moved with his mother and brothers first to Prairie Village, Kansas, and later to Torrance, California. Those years mattered deeply because they shaped the insecurity and introversion he carried as a boy. His family story also carried tragedy. His younger brother Wieland was later killed in the Vietnam War in 1970, a loss that remained part of the emotional background of Norris's life. In 1958, at 18 years old, Norris joined the United States Air Force as an air policeman. He was stationed at Osan Air Base in South Korea, and that period changed everything. It was there that he began studying Tang Soo Do and picked up the nickname Chuck, the name that would later become world famous. After returning to the United States, he continued serving in California, including at March Air Reserve Base, and was discharged in 1962 with the rank of Airman First Class. What makes that chapter so important is that it was not just military service. It was the beginning of his transformation. Martial arts gave him structure, confidence, and direction. After leaving the Air Force, he thought about becoming a police officer in Torrance, but instead chose a different path and opened martial arts schools. He began competing seriously, and the beginning was rough. He lost early bouts to fighters such as Joe Louis and Alan Steen, which forced him to improve through discipline rather than hype. That discipline paid off. Norris grew into one of the most respected tournament fighters of his era. In 1967, he won major titles including S. Henry Cho's All-American Karate Championship at Madison Square Garden. He went on to become a six-time world professional middleweight karate champion and built a reputation not as a movie invention, but as a legitimate martial artist who had earned his standing in real competition. While doing this, he also worked for Northrop and expanded a chain of karate schools. His schools helped bring him into contact with celebrities long before Hollywood turned him into a star. He taught students such as Steve McQueen, Chad McQueen, Priscilla Presley, Bob Barker, and Donnie and Marie Osmond. This part of his life is important because it shows that his connection to Hollywood started through skill and reputation, not through acting ambition alone. By the time he entered films, Chuck Norris was already known in some circles as the real thing. He also deepened his martial arts credentials over time. Norris became known for holding black belts in multiple disciplines, including karate, taekwondo, tang soo do, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and judo. He later founded his own martial arts system, Chun Kuk Do, and also established the United Fighting Arts Federation. That meant his legacy was not only about fighting or film, but about building a system, a philosophy, and an organized martial arts identity that outlived the tournament years. His move into acting came gradually. He had a minor role in The Wrecking Crew in 1968, but his breakthrough came in 1972, when Bruce Lee cast him as a major opponent in The Way of the Dragon, released in the United States as Return of the Dragon. Their fight scene became one of the most famous moments in martial arts cinema and helped introduce Norris to a much larger audience. In 1974, Steve McQueen encouraged him to start taking acting seriously and to begin classes at MGM, which pushed him toward a genuine screen career. His early film career was not instantly glamorous, but it steadily built momentum. He appeared in films such as The Student Teachers and Yellow-Faced Tiger, before taking his first starring role in Breaker in 1977. That film turned a profit, and his next major lead, Good Guys Wear Black in 1978, became a hit. That success helped establish him as one of the first major American-born martial arts movie stars at a time when the genre had been heavily shaped by Hong Kong imports and Bruce Lee's enormous influence. From there, Norris became one of the defining action stars of the late 1970s and 1980s. He starred in A Force of One, The Octagon, An Eye for an Eye, Silent Rage, Forced Vengeance, and Lone Wolf McQuade. His success then led Cannon Films to sign him to a multi-picture deal, which turned him into one of the company's signature stars through films such as Missing in Action, Invasion USA, The Delta Force, and Firewalker. Outside that partnership, Code of Silence was also widely regarded as one of his strongest action films. What made him stand out was not just physical toughness. His screen persona carried discipline, restraint, and moral certainty. He often played men who were controlled rather than reckless, and that gave him a different presence from some of the louder action stars of the same era. He did not just project violence, he projected order, self-mastery, and the sense that force would only come when necessary. In the 1990s, Norris reached an even wider audience through television when he starred as Cordell Walker in Walker, Texas Ranger, which ran on CBS from 1993 to 2001. That role made him feel permanent in American popular culture. For millions of viewers, he was no longer just a martial arts champion or an action film lead. He became a household symbol of justice, toughness, and old-fashioned values. Outside acting, Norris built an identity that stretched into writing, business, and public advocacy. He became a best-selling author, writing books on martial arts, exercise, philosophy, self-help, Christian themes, fiction, autobiography, and conservative politics. He wrote a regular column for WorldNet Daily, appeared in many commercials, and became especially well known as a long-time spokesperson for Total Gym. Later, he also founded C-Force Bottling Company and remained active in youth programs such as Kickstart Kids, which used martial arts to help at-risk children build discipline and confidence. His personal life was also more layered than many people realized. He married Diane K. Holchek in December 1958, when he was 18 and she was 17, and they had been classmates at North High School in Torrance. They had two sons, Mike and Eric, separated in 1988, and finalized their divorce in 1989 after 30 years of marriage. Norris also had a daughter, Dina, from an earlier relationship during his Air Force years. He did not meet her until 1990 and later publicly acknowledged her in his memoir. In 1998, he married Gina O'Kelly, and they later had fraternal twins. Then came one of the most unusual chapters of all. In 2005, the internet turned Chuck Norris into a myth larger than the man himself through the viral Chuck Norris Facts meme, which exaggerated his toughness into something almost supernatural. Instead of fading into nostalgia, like many action stars from his era, Norris became newly famous with younger generations who may never even have seen his classic films. The meme sparked books, games, product tie-ins and talk show appearances, turning him from martial arts champion and actor into a full cultural legend. Now, to the question people are asking most: what caused Chuck Norris's death? As of now, the exact cause has not been publicly disclosed by his family. Multiple reports say he died on March the 19th after a medical emergency in Hawaii, and that he had been hospitalized shortly before his death. But no official detailed medical cause has been publicly released. That means any video claiming a specific cause as fact would be going beyond what has actually been reported. What we do know is that his family said he died peacefully and surrounded by loved ones. And one detail makes the ending feel almost unbelievable. Just days before his death, on his birthday, Norris posted a video in which he was sparring and joking. In that final post, he said, "I don't age, I level up." That line now feels haunting, because it sounds exactly like something the world wanted Chuck Norris to say at the end. Still strong, still defiant, still leaning into the myth. And that brings us to the line at the center of this whole story. He is not dead because legends never die. Of course, literally they do, but some people become larger than their mortality. They leave behind more than work, more than memories, more than headlines. They leave behind a presence. Chuck Norris did that. That is why this death feels strange, because people are not only grieving an actor, they are grieving a symbol. So yes, Chuck Norris died. Chuck Norris is gone. But legends never die. Chuck Norris is mortal. Legends are not remembered for how they end. They are remembered for how impossible it feels to imagine a world without them.